Every corner that you go in India, you have a temple. Among every group of friends, there is one astrologer. And so spirituality is much alive, this is very beautiful to see.
Have you read that book called The Story of a Yogi?
Story of...
No, The Life of a Yogi. It's a very famous book.
The biography, autobiography of the yogi?
The autobiography of a yogi.
I did.
Yes.
I did. Yeah.
Yes. So he says the same thing, and he says when he went to America and he came back to India, I think, or something like that, and he says, the difference between America and India is the spiritual pursuit. It's very easy to explain it to an Indian, spirituality. Whereas when he was in America, he found it slightly difficult.
And it's completely true. But there is a difference between United States, America, and South America, Brazil. Because in Brazil, all the religions that exist in the world came here. From Africa, from every place. And because we are so distant from everywhere, the way that these, let's say, spiritual paths, they entangle each other here is very beautiful. So we don't have here the same, religious crisis that we see in the world. Here you have like a priest from the Catholic Church going to an astrologer from the Vedic parampara, Everything mingles here in a very beautiful way, So in Brazil we are very open to spirituality, but they are not open to religion, because many religions has come and many bad things were done. So if you are talking about quality of life, talking about yoga, talking about how to live well, every Brazilian will listen. When you start to bring the religious aspect to it, everybody resists, So here we have the spiritual life active, but there is a little bit of resistance towards religion because everybody gets afraid,
Why do you think that is? They get afraid because...
Yeah, because, when you see in the world people fighting because of the name of God, God has no form and is the cause of everything, and people are discussing which is its name, People would say that the purpose of life is to die and meet God after life. For a Brazilian, this does not make any sense, because, if the purpose of life is to do something after death, why I was born at all, So this type of way of thinking does not make sense here, and people don't swallow it, So if I want to be happy, I need to be happy right now, not after death, So this aspect of spirituality here is very welcomed, But when you come to the religious pursuit, then there is a natural resistance.
That reminds me of the spiritual practices, indigenous spiritual practices in Brazil, especially shamanism. And as you are a shaman yourself, what are the similarities that you see in the Vedic culture, Vedic practices, and shamanism?
Well, in Brazil, we have a very ancient tradition, like a spiritual path that is held by the people of the forest, like we call them. And very interestingly, these people, they are called Índios. So, and we have India, that's the feminine word for Índio in Brazil. So we say that Índio and the India, like both male and female, should be together, not separate, And why that? Because the same way that you see a person that has a lot of bhakti in India, he can pray in any place. He will consider nature sacred. He will have an understanding that's much more broader of what is spirituality and how to serve humanity. In the forest, we have the same philosophy. If you go in the forest today, in some villages that have contact with the modern world, let's say, they are going to be using shirts from India with Ganesha and everything. It's very interesting to see like how there is a connection, even the way they dress up, the way they behave is very connected to how we see in India. And this is something that myself as a Vedanta teacher wants to bring to India and show them, because nobody knows this, And I also became surprised when I start to go deep in the forest and saw that happening, On the forest, the same as in the Vedic tradition. Some, let's say, some practices were very well preserved. Like we have the Ayurveda in India, we have like a system of health, all based in plants in the Amazon. For anything, any problem that you have health related, they have a plant to pass on the eyes, to drink, to do a bath, you know. That's very similar to what an Ayurvedic treatment would be, you know. They have some words that are similar, like for the eye droplets. It's the same word in Sanskrit that they use in the Vedic system, in the Ayurvedic system.
What is it?
Sananga, it's the name. Sananga. If there are some bija mantras like Shri, 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 that's the same bija mantra that we use in the Vedic tradition. The name that they have for Mangalam is Shava, like Shiva. And we can even say that Shava plus Uma became Shiva, you know. So there is a connection in the root of the words. Like Vana means forest in Sanskrit, but also in the native language in Brazil, you know. So you see many things that you say, oh my God, this is the same tradition. At some point in the history, it must have, you know, separated, and then some changes in the way they speak was created. But we see many, many similarities. Meditation is there. And the Soma practice that is lost in the Vedic tradition nowadays is still alive in the forest, with another name, of course, but is still alive, with the same description and everything that is there. So I see as one tradition, you know. And they have some tapas that they do here that I know they used to do in the past in India, like they stay 4 days without food or water. And there is even like they do 21 days fasting, you know. And so we see that there is a Shakti, and they are so powerful. Like we can see some people in India that are able to heal people with a blessing and all that. They have the same thing in the forest. So it's very connected, you know. It was interesting that for me, like the Vedic path opened before the, let's say, the Shaman path, you know. So we say that in the world there are four main spiritual paths. The red path, that is connected to the natives of North America. The black path, that's connected to South America and other places like Africa. Then we have the yellow path, that is connected to China and all the Middle East. And the white path, that's connected to the Vedic tradition. So the white path opened for me before the black path, you know. But once the white path was open, this was the reason why I was accepted in the black path, because like we have, like, let's suppose the Nambudris in India, that for you cannot become a Nambudri, you have to be born from a Nambudri family, you know. The same in the forest. They don't open the tradition unless you are born on that family. But because I was an Acharya in Vedanta, and of course seeing my work and everything, they said, okay, they test me and say, we'll let you in. So that's how I became connected.